Oh, they want to know, how did you become a pediatric patient care tech? What was your process? Like, how long did it take you to get into the hospital?
So long, y'all.
Yeah, they slow.
So long. I'll try to simplify this one because I could go on and on. So I started and I applied for this hospital because I looked online, and my first interview was at this place called Christian Hospital. And when I went there, they're like, yeah, the PCT Academy starts from this month to that month, and the academy. It was like really, really intense, the schooling that you had to pass, and it was like full time, and you only got paid like $10 an hour, and like you had to study your butt off, and like even then, when you did all that work, if you didn't pass the test, you're like kicked out of this academy. And it was like, are y'all serious?
Yeah.
Like, are you guys serious? And so I did this interview. I did the first interview, I did the second interview, and then I did a panel interview. And I still didn't get the job.
Wow.
I didn't get the job, and I was insulted. Because I'm like,
through 3 interviews?
I went through 3 interviews, and it was like, I felt really hopeful. And I was just like, okay. But on my last interview, when I actually got the email, like the email, it was like, thank you for considering the position at blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I'm like,
but we have.
I said, hold on, my context might be.
Right.
Like I'm like, what? So I personally went to the store, got a thank you card, and wrote it out to the dude who interviewed me. And I went down there I was dressed up. I went down there and I was like, hey, I just want to drop this off for you. I did receive your email saying that you guys went with somebody else. And I just want to say thank you for, interviewing with me. And I just want to pick your brain as to what I could have done better for a future employer. So I swallowed my ego, y'all. I swallowed my ego. And I said, yeah, because I thought, I thought I did pretty well. So if there's anything that you can tell me for my future, like, can you let me know? He's like, I'm not really allowed to do that, but I'm going to tell you right now, it was nothing that you did. I was like, what do you mean? And he's just like, I actually wanted, like by the 3rd interview, it was because a panel interview, you like in the room with like 4 or 5 other doctors or 6, and then it's like they basically vote, like, hey, keep, it's like you're being judged after you leave.
Wow.
So he said that the amount of people in the panel interview, there wasn't a sufficient amount because like 2 people didn't show up to the interview. So he's like, you didn't really get a fair go. The odds weren't distributed properly for you.
The ratio
wasn't right. And he said, I felt bad about that. He's like, I almost hesitated to not like send you that email, but
they should have something for when that happens. I'm sure it happens pretty often.
I'm not sure, but
see, now that's interesting. See, like in this case, instead of you beating yourself up,
I wouldn't have ever
did something wrong.
I wouldn't have ever known. I wouldn't have ever known.
Who does that?
I went back, y'all, because I was insulted. I'm like, I'm overqualified for this job. I'm overqualified for this job.
I know you got better reason.
You guys gotta look. I don't know who else would be good for this job. Who I want to show me the person. I was a little cocky, but I was like, my little ego was hurt. So I was like, okay. But at the same time, I genuinely wanted to know why I didn't, because I'm like, man, if I'm not seeing myself doing something and I keep repeating it, I'm not gonna be hired. So I really genuinely wanted to know. So he was really cool about everything, and he like was kind of like taken aback by this.
Yeah, I'm sure he was.
By this gesture. And like, so yeah, so that was the first thing that happened. And I just kept applying, and then I went on another interview with this hospital that I really wanted to work for. And I was like, this is how much I want to make. Like they took me up to the floor. I walked around. This was for a women's and children's center. That's where I really wanted to be.
Oh, okay.
And it was at a really high-ranking hospital, like what do they call it, Magnet Hospital?
Yeah, Magnet. Yeah.
Magnet, and it was just like phenomenal. I'm like, oh, this is where I want to be. And they, I told them what pay I wanted. So she like gave me an entrance packet, like with all the benefits in there, like, hey, this is what our benefit package looks like, this is what our tuition reimbursement looks like, this is what the hours for the position would look like. I'm gonna take you up on the floor and I'm gonna have you meet all the hiring managers and nurses and everything. So I'm like, I'm in there, baby. Like, I'm in there. And then I got an email from them stating that I didn't make it. So I was discouraged by this point. I'm like, whose dick do you have to suck to get into a hospital? Like, I'm sorry, please edit that out. I will. I'm like, what's the secret? What's the secret? Like, right. What do you have to do to get into a hospital? Like, seriously, you guys. I was really discouraged. So then I called her up. And I was like, so, do you remember me? Like, cause I feel like we had I felt like I didn't say that. No, I didn't say that.
I thought we were very close.
I thought I snagged that one. Like, who takes me up and has me sit down and talk to all the charges, and like all the charges in me are like going back and forth, and they're like loving it. Like, come on. So I'm like, so what was it? Like, can I, you know, I was wondering if there's something that I could do better for the next interview. Like, what was it? She's like, I'm sorry, I loved you, I would have picked you, but at the last minute an internal application came in, and
I remember you told me that.
Girl, I was like, ooh. I was like, man.
See, and then that shows you again that it wasn't your fault.
It wasn't my fault.
Because they had to hire from the inside first.
They had to hire from the inside first. So I felt like, dang, you guys are just like using me for interview percentages, like, and because they have to reach a certain amount of interview percentages before they hire someone. They have to interview people for that position to legally show that they give other people a chance, and it has to be a distribution of different races.
Yeah, but it's like some affirmative action type thing.
Yeah, it has to be like non-discrimination. They have to prove, hey, we had this amount of, you know, people like interviewing. So I just felt really discouraged, and I'm like, man, like, and then all the positions that were online were for nights, and like I have a sleeping problem, and then with the school, I'm like, I can't work nights. So I'm like, I had to stay at my job. It took me about 6 to 7 months to actually get hired at the hospital. Okay, so April is when I applied for the local pediatric hospital here, and I did a bunch of interviews with them, phone interview, jumped through fire loops. Like, I don't even want to take you through that whole process. It is a long process. You had to take an assessment test down there. You had to do a background check. You had to do, like, answer all these, like, personality question things. And then you had to, like, actually go to the hospital then, see the floor, and then meet with the manager. And then they determine if they want you hired or not. So that's still in the process.
It's just a waiting game. So you guys, you just keep going.
Keep going.
So that was your third hospital.
That was my third hospital. And literally at that point, I'm like, I probably didn't get this job either because I didn't hear anything from them. My interview for them was in April, and I still didn't have an offer. So May and June passed by. I'm like, all right, well, and I was diligently filling out other applications. So I had like 4 different phone interviews, okay? And they weren't trying to go up in my pay range. Like, I'm like, I have to at least make this. Like, I know my experience. I'm not gonna settle for less than this amount. Like, I'm not doing it. So I'm like, if that's the case, if I can go get a retail job and like make more than this hospital, like, come on, that's just not okay. I'll go work at QT then, because they'll do my tuition reimbursement, you know? So it was just, I was having a lot of like just thoughts and just a lot of things. So then I had to, so April.
You said May and June they didn't call you.
May, and then June they called me.
In June.
And then I ended up getting the job in June.
Okay.
And even then they were still like, okay, well, we're down to the last like finalists. And I'm like, okay. All right. So I just waited it out. I'm like, God, if it's meant to be, then it's mine. I'm not gonna worry about it.
But you're in there now, so just the fact that you're in there, and the hospitals here in St. Louis, which I'm sure it probably is a lot of places, are so connected.
Yeah,
once you become a nurse, then you can pretty much, you can do that lateral shift to different hospitals or whatever.
You can.
You're in the system now.
You are, and then you understand the computer system to the software that they use.
See, that's the benefit of doing patient care. I really, really wish I would have did patient care tech before I became a nurse. Like, 100% wish I would have did that.
Yeah.
I really do. Yeah, that took a minute. But at least you were like primed for this position with those other 2 jobs. Like, as far as the interviews and everything.
Yeah, I mean, and the interviews, yes, so many things. They make you like answer all these questions, and you know, it's a very strenuous process. But
did you have to test after completing your program?
Yes.
So it was like seeing a board exam.
I mean, it was a test that the managers came up, well, whoever, with the leader of the PCT program, they said they had 100 questions that you go through.
Girl,
they give
I'm so
you,
gassy.
They give you a study guide. They give you a study guide to fill out, and then you study, and then you go through all this training in the system. Like, you go through all this computer training. I forgot exactly like what it's called, but basically you go through all this training it talks about grief, it talks about cancer patients, it talks about how to handle like somebody in these different situations. If you would walk in a room and see like a mother crying, like what's the proper steps, who would you call, you know, chaplain services, you know, you get a breakdown of like hours and hours and hours of computer training with all these different scenarios that you haven't even really thought much about.
Right, because you haven't done the work.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And how long was your patient care tech training?
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
It's 6 weeks off. It was like 6 weeks on the computer and then like 6 weeks on the floor.
And did your pay change once you became patient care tech?
No.
Oh.
Yep. It was like, that was it.
Huh.
Yep.
Okay.
But each hospital is probably different. I want to say something about PCTs that are thinking about being a PCT while they're in school. If you do want to be a PCT while you're in school and you want some time for like studying and you like think, hey, I can do this and that, that's fine, but just pick your floor wisely. Watch where you apply. Because if you're on a renal adult floor, you're not going to be doing any studying. You're going to be taking care of patients that are constantly voiding themselves, and you are going to be lifting up adults, and you are going to be exhausted at the end of the day. The only thing that you're going to do immediately is strip down your clothes and get in the shower. And then you're going to be so physically exhausted that you wouldn't be able to do anything at that job. Versus if you work, say, like me, I work in a NICU. Oh, I work in a NICU. So basically, my patients are like really small. I'm not going to exhaust my body physically by lifting these patients. I don't work as a PCA. A PCA would be in here wrestling suicidal, restraining suicidal 18-year-olds that are probably twice the size as them. So I picked my floor very wisely.
Oh.
I didn't even apply for a floor that would cause me a lot of physical.
That's something to think about, because even working with the animals, it was physical.
Very physically taxing.
So that's something to think about. So I didn't even think about that.
You have to pick your floor wisely, and so that is something, like I said, that you have to consider as a PCT. Everybody, might think, oh, you're just a PCT. You're not just a PCT.
Right.
And I'll tell you one thing as well. All right. When you run codes, when codes are being run, a code blue on a child, you are like one of the main crucial pieces in that code. You can do chest compressions. You're handing off, tools that need to be given like efficiently, and you're one of the main reasons why the code flows the way it does.
Wow.
You're a very important piece in a child's like critical moments.
So take pride in it.
Take pride in that. And you know what? Nurses, I'm not gonna lie, there's nurses that do treat you like complete crap because you have a title of a PCT. But at the end of the day, you know who you are, you know where you're going, and you know to give the energy to the nurses who respect you. Give them your energy. I don't trip like off of, and it took me a good 3 months. It was a big culture shock going from a place that people 100% like the staff, going to a place that I like 25% like the staff. So that's dramatic.
We talked about that a lot. You was like, these people got me messed up. Like, I can't believe this. Like, like that was like one of the biggest things that she just hated your coworker.
I mean, and you know what? Because I wasn't so used to such a level of disrespect.
Right.
Like I wasn't used to that. I wasn't used to that type of ill dynamic. Like I thought we were on the same team, and like it's like a culture that it's fun to pick on the PCT. Like that's not cool with me. And I've walked in on people like doing that, and I've put it in check right away. And like not everybody has that character to like serve an injustice or whatever, which is, it's like you're gonna have to find your peace one way or another. Some things aren't worth it. Other things it's like, come on. Now, I had to tell this one lady, like, you and I spoke about that. You didn't need to go over there and tell a whole group of people, like, did you get a kick off of some type of gossip? Do you get a kick off of feeling like you're important? Do you get a kick off of someone else's mistake? When I said, you remember making mistakes, don't you? I'm sure that people didn't make you feel this big about it, because I refuse for you to do that with me, and you're really too old to be doing that. That's really unprofessional and uncalled for, and it's just really not cool. Like I had to tell a whole grown woman who'd been there 30 years that I pulled her off in the middle of her just like cackling about something, and then she like at the end of the day, after that situation happened, she's like, you're right, like it won't happen again. I'm like, okay, tomorrow's a new day. And it was just like, I couldn't have been able to do that even last year. I'm just at a point right now where I'm just so fed up with anything extra. Like I'm gonna keep my dignity. I'm not gonna yell at you. I'm not gonna disrespect you and do all that. But at the end of the day, people have to know sometimes that, like, you're not the one to do that with. And it's just
I can see that, especially because we got a lot of people who aren't certified in my job, and it can be some, but I hate to justify it, but some of these people, they just not there. They not there. You have to be like, girl, are you slow? So, but the culture is, I'm guilty of it. I be like, yeah, this is what happened. Like, I will talk to another nurse about it. But it's usually because the person still don't get it.
Ooh.
Like, your patient is wet. Did you change her? Oh no. Did you feed such and such? Oh no, I didn't feed her. I didn't even know I had her until this time. So did she ever get a plate? No. So did she eat breakfast or lunch or anything? No. I'm clocking out.
That's just look.
I'm clocking out. And so I'm of course I'm telling her, like, look, girl, like, did she really just? She's not even certified.
Okay.
This happened.
And you know what? That,
and of course she still works there.
I think that's justifiable. That's justifiable though. Like, I feel like there's a.
I probably still should never say nothing like to somebody else about it, like gossiping about it. But I'm still like, this girl is clueless. How can you not feed somebody all day?
That's just.
And then when I
there's
tell
a point
you,
of neglect and mistakes. One healthy mistake is like a mistake that's like, oh hey, we had that conversation, like, oh, it's a mistake, I'm sorry, because I apologized right when I realized what the mistake was, and it was something so petty that I'm like, oh yeah, you know what, I wasn't thinking. Like, I was trying to do something actually that I didn't have to do as a courtesy for somebody else, and it ended up not really working in my favor. So, and then you want to talk about me in a way when I didn't even have to do all that. So, wow, really? Now that's not cool. But versus straight up
that's
neglect.
like counseling versus But it's, I mean, still the culture of nursing is still really, especially in nursing homes, the professionalism is very low, because they don't expect that much of you. I hate to say it. I mean, even though this is like, you know, with you, it's the beginning of a child's life. Like, they have so much more to come, and you got the families there. But with the elderly, it's the end of their life. I feel like it's the end of their life. Like, we should be able to let them die with dignity, give them
the shebang.
You know, so you can relax and end your life. You shouldn't be laying in feces all day just because they don't know. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, it's not there. There's no standard. There's no standard unless state is in the building. And that's why I really want to get out of geriatrics. I hate it. And Chris was like, well, you should stay because, you know, like what you were saying with your family, like, you have a heart for it and all that. But it's like, I can't do it. I just, like, it's not, geriatrics is off the chain. But anyways, we're talking about peas. But yeah, I think that's good what you said as far as, like, you got to stand up for yourself. You know?
And you know what? And that may happen again with her. But you know what? At least I know that, like, I'm not dealing with her. I'm not going out of my way to be like, hey, how are you? I'm not putting energy right there. I'm putting energy in the nurses that I know we have a mutual respect, and that they know my capability of work, and that they know me and I know them. And there's like an unspoken language of flow there. Put your energy there, because your job as a good PCT is to do the job of your best ability with compassion for these patients. It's not about them anyway. It's not about them anyway. It's about these children. There's this one nurse that I couldn't stand because she had really, really different personality from me, and I didn't like how bossy she was and things like that. Like, I would go into examples, but long story short, I walked past this room and there was no one around, and I like walked past and she was down with these little baby, like like shaking the baby's little legs, and the baby was cackling, and she took the baby and was walking around with the baby. I'm like, you know what? I like her. No, I'm not her friend. No, whatever. But she is taking care of these babies, and she's going above and beyond. She's talking to these babies. She's being affectionate with these babies, and some nurses don't even do that. Yeah.
They just treat them like, okay, a task.
Right. So I would rather her be ignorant with me and fine with these babies. That, keep your goals in mind. It's not about you. It's not about your ego. It's about these babies. It's about your patients. So another thing too is, don't beat yourself up that you're a PCT, because you're gonna be a way better nurse because you know all these tools in and out. You know the nicknames for the tools. You know all the different doctors' terms for the nicknames of this tool. And all these supplies, there's like nicknames on top of nicknames, and you know what a yanker is, you know what a gizmo is, you know what a duck bill is, you know what a butt flap is. Like, what is a butt flap? Like, you'll know what it is, though. You'll know.
What is a butt flap?
It's like a dressing. It's just like a kind of a cloth dressing.
A cover.
Like a cover for like a wound area, so their butt can like breathe without being exposed. So it's like a little butt curtain, like a curtain call.
It has a little cutout.
Yeah, it has a little cutout. So the nurses who have been PCTs in the past are cool as heck. Like, all the nurses that I've met, they're like, yeah, I mean, I can just wipe it. I can just wipe this crib down. No big deal. Like, you know, I was a PCT for 5 years. And you just like look and you're just like, okay, cool. And they're here, they're doing it good. Like they did it, they made it. They were working full time through nursing school. They ate shit for however long they needed to get to where they're at, and they didn't give up. They didn't let the ego get the best of them and be like, I'm not coming back. It's about the patience. It's about the patience.
Like, you're right, you have to put your ego to the side.
You do.